I used to sit by the window every evening, right before sunset. That was the time he used to come home. Even now, after all these years, I still catch myself looking down that same road, hoping I might see him walking toward me again. But he never does. The day my son left, he didn't raise his voice, he didn't argue, he didn't even turn around. He just said, very quietly, "Mom, I'll come visit soon." And I believed him. I believed him so much that I kept the door unlocked every night for months, just in case he came late and didn't want to knock. But days turned into weeks, weeks turned into years, and my son never came back. I raised my son on my own. His father passed away when he was only 5 years old. I still remember how small his hands were when he held on to mine at the funeral. He didn't fully understand what had happened, but he knew something was missing. From that day on, it was just the two of us. I became both a mother and a father to him. I worked long hours, sometimes sewing late into the night, just to make sure he had everything he needed. But no matter how tired I was, I always made time for him. We had a simple life, a small home, a quiet routine. Every morning, I would wake him up for school. "Time to get up, sweetheart," I would say softly, and he would roll over, half asleep, and whisper, "5 more minutes, Mom." Those were the moments I lived for. In the evenings, we would sit together and have dinner. Sometimes we laughed over little things, sometimes we just sat in comfortable silence. He would tell me about his day, his friends, his dreams, and I would listen, always. He wasn't just my son, he was my whole world. As he got older, he became more responsible. He started helping me around the house, he would bring in groceries, fix things that broke, and always check in on me. "Mom, one day I'll take care of everything," he once told me. I smiled and said, "You already do." Years passed like this, quietly, peacefully, until the day he told me he wanted to get married. I remember that evening clearly. He came home looking a little nervous, like he had something important to say. "Mom," he said, sitting next to me, "I need to tell you something." I looked at him and smiled. "What is it?" "There's someone I care about." For a moment, my heart paused. Not out of fear, but realization. My little boy had grown up. I gently placed my hand over his and said, "Tell me about her." He told me her name, where she worked, how they met. There was happiness in his voice, and that was enough for me. Soon we started making arrangements for the wedding. The house, which had always been quiet, suddenly filled with people, laughter, and noise. For a while, everything felt alive again. After the wedding, things seemed normal at first. She was polite, respectful. She helped around the house. But slowly, something began to change. It started with small things. My son began spending more time in his room. Our dinner conversations became shorter. "Mom, we'll eat later," he would say. Or sometimes, "We already ate out." I would nod and smile. But inside, I could feel the distance growing. One evening, I knocked on his door. "Yeah?" he answered from inside. "Sweetheart, I made your favorite meal." There was a pause. Then he said, "We're not really hungry right now." I stood there for a moment, holding the plate in my hands. Then I quietly walked back to the kitchen. Moments like that became more common. The laughter we once shared slowly faded away, and the house started to feel empty again, even though it wasn't. The day everything changed, it was raining. A soft, steady rain that made the house feel colder than usual. I was sitting in the living room when my daughter-in-law walked in. She didn't sit down, she just stood there. "Mom," she said, "we need to talk." Her voice was calm. Too calm. I nodded. Of course. She hesitated for a moment, then said, "It's getting hard for us." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" She looked away and said, "We need our space." I felt something tighten in my chest. Before I could say anything, my son walked into the room. He didn't look at me. He just stood beside her. "Mom," he said softly, "maybe it would be better if you stayed somewhere else for a while." For a moment, everything went silent. The rain outside seemed louder, or maybe it was just my heart. I looked at him, the same boy who once held my hand so tightly, afraid to lose me, and now he couldn't even meet my eyes. I wanted to ask him why. I wanted to remind him of everything we had been through together, but the words just wouldn't come. Instead, I smiled. A quiet, trembling smile. "If that's what you both think is best," I said. That night, I packed a small bag. I folded my clothes slowly, carefully, as if taking more time would somehow change things. Before leaving, I stood at the door. I looked back one last time. He was there, but he didn't move. He didn't stop me. He didn't say a word. And I walked out. I moved into a small, rented room. It was quiet. Too quiet. At first, I tried to keep myself busy, cleaning, cooking, rearranging things over and over again. But no matter what I did, the silence stayed. Every morning I would wake up and check my phone. Maybe he called. Maybe he left a message. But there was nothing. Still, I waited. Every evening I sat by the window, just like before, watching the street, hoping. Days passed, then months. People told me to move on, to accept it, they said. But how do you move on from your own child? How do you stop waiting for someone who once meant everything to you? Sometimes I would replay his words in my mind. "Mom, I'll take care of everything." And I would smile, even with tears in my eyes. Years later, I heard from someone that he had moved to another state. He had a new life now, a new home, maybe even children of his own. For a moment, I felt a deep ache. But then, something inside me softened. He was happy. And that was all I ever wanted for him, even if it meant being forgotten. Now I still sit by the window sometimes. Not every day, but sometimes. Old habits don't fade easily. But I no longer wait with the same pain. Now I wait with quiet acceptance. Life doesn't always give us the endings we hope for. Sometimes the people we love the most become strangers. But love doesn't disappear. It changes. It becomes softer, quieter. And maybe that's okay. Because in the end, I realized something important. I may have lost my son's presence, but I never lost my love for him. And that love still lives inside me.